Last week was the first week in 68 weeks since starting posting on YouTube that I skipped making a video. And that's because last week my grandma died, and 2 days after that, my dog also died. Death is weird and uncomfortable, and I wish I had some great thing to say that can help people find their own peace in the face of death, but I don't make these videos because I have all the answers, but rather because I'm trying to figure them out. There are two things that I'm sure of: that both my grandmother and my dog had beautiful lives, and that they're both at peace, and for that, I'm grateful. My grandmother put in some really impressive numbers on Earth. She lived to 90 years old. She enjoyed 65 years of marriage that produced 6 children, 15 grandchildren, and soon to be 11 great-grandchildren. She spoke 4 languages, she skipped 2 grades in school, and she went to Manhattan College. I've talked about how a simple gratitude practice has helped me in the past, and when I say it has changed my life, I mean that very literally. Even in the face of death, I can find gratitude, because it is sad that my grandmother is gone, but I'm grateful that she had a beautiful life. Gratitude is just one of my spiritual practices. Sometimes my spiritual practice looks like simply going for a walk in nature without my phone. Other times it can look like taking a yoga class. And some days it's about having tough conversations with loved ones or admitting harsh truths to myself. And other times, especially in the last week, it's just about sitting with my emotions, especially the harder ones like grief and sadness and loss. Although my spiritual practice looks different each day, I'm actively practicing. And I emphasize that word practice for a reason. It's not about being perfect or getting all of the things right. It's just about being with the practice, being with whatever it may bring up. My Kundalini teacher, Kylie, often speaks about spiritual stamina, and I really love the concept and how she describes it. I'm paraphrasing here, but she basically says that we're not participating in our spiritual practices so that we can experience zero pain or hardship. That's literally not possible in life on Earth. People get sick, tragedies happen. No amount of meditation or spirituality would have stopped my dog from dying 48 hours after my grandma. I'm not practicing for a trials, tribulations, and challenges-free life. I'm practicing so that I can make it through the trials, tribulations, and challenges easier. And while heartbreak, pain, sadness, and grief are still very much with me right now, I can also confidently say that my practices are working. I know that I'm able to handle the punches life throws at me better since dedicating to my spiritual practices, and I'm so proud of the growth I've seen, especially in the face of adversity. And if you're interested in Kundalini, I'm going to link the course that I'm signed up for in the description of this video below. The last week was a whirlwind of emotions, and I'm grateful for them all. The very low moments full of sorrow and tears, and also the very high moments of peace and laughter and joy with my family.
Oh, wait a minute, that's not his finger. Sorry.
I've talked about how I struggled with my weight for decades and how emotional eating was one of my bigger hurdles to get over. And a few weeks ago, I would have said that I believed that eating and making food decisions while you're feeling big emotions wasn't necessarily the best thing. However, this week, I have a whole new outlook on the idea of comfort carbs. I can't turn my big feelings off, especially not these big feelings, especially not now. And choosing to obsess over what food I was eating would have just added to my stress spike and made things a lot worse. And I've also talked about my mom's side of the family, the Italian side. There's literally always food. It was only about 3 hours after my grandma passed when the first food was delivered, and it did not stop coming. And while I don't condone binge eating to the brink of vomiting and avoidance of feelings, I also had zero interest in counting my carbs or saving my dessert for later last week. They call them comfort carbs for a reason, and our bodies are literally wired to crave them in times of stress and sadness. And while I have no interest in reverting back to supplementing my dopamine and serotonin with pasta and cake the way I used to habitually, in the face of death and heartbreak, I found a shift in perspective this week that I don't think I could have under any other circumstances. I'd like to also just take a moment to shout out the East Meadow Fire Department. Two of my uncles were volunteers for decades, and the way that the East Meadow Fire Department showed up in support of my family this week was so special and so beautiful. And I know that I'm speaking on behalf of my whole family when I say thank you. And like I said in the beginning of this video, I don't have all the answers, and I wish I had some great thing to say that can help people find their own peace in the face of death. But I think that for right now, it's not about trying to find peace, but rather just sitting with the sadness.